Slipshod Clown by Gaetan Battaglia. Marcy Weast would have a birthday celebration that she would never forget. Her parents were dedicated to making this happen. She was to turn the big 10, hit double digits, or reach the age otherwise known as 10. Michael Weast and Marcia Chambers, Marcy's parents, had the whole day planned out. There would be a bouncy house, games, food, and live entertainment. In Michael and Marcia's minds, this meant either a magician or a clown. Marcia scoured the internet, phone books, and even around town on the hunt for a magician. Meanwhile, Michael tried his hand at booking a clown for his little girl's birthday party. To Marcia's chagrin, there were no local magicians or magic acts in the entire county. Michael, however, struck luck when he found that there were a few listings for clowns that performed at kids' parties. He managed to find 3 numbers. One clown had just retired a few months prior, and the next clown apparently did not perform well enough to keep his phone number from being disconnected. This left Marcy's parents with one option: Clauso, clown extraordinaire. At least that was what the man claimed in his phone book advertisement. This clown also boasted, "Prices so low, they're reasonable." Michael thought that was funny, but Marcia thought it was stupid. So, Michael inquired and the clown himself quoted a price of $150 an hour, asking for event pricing, or at least some form of bulk rates. Michael was sold at $400 for the entire birthday. Marcy's party was to be a lunch and cake affair, and Michael would be damned if the entire shindig was going to last more than 3 hours. Clauso did insist on a deposit of 50% up front, sweetening the deal by assuring Michael that he would see every last penny returned to him on the condition that Clauso was a no-show. Michael agreed, not knowing if this was standard practice to put money down when booking a clown, but not thinking it unreasonable either. With their entertainment for the afternoon booked, Marcia and Michael tended to other matters for the birthday girl's big bash. Cups, cutlery, napkins, plates, ice, soda, hamburgers, hot dogs, and oodles of condiments. And this birthday celebration was ready to come into full swing. And the cake, of course. Michael wanted a quarter sheet, positing that Marcy had invited 6 classmates over and with 2 parents each. At most, plus their own little family, was 21 people maximum. 18 to 20 servings of cake would be plenty. At least Michael tried to argue, statistically speaking, but Marcia went ahead and got a half sheet, easily serving 50 people. That meant leftovers to send home with each child, and some for the family for dessert the following week. Michael acquiesced, mainly because Marcia had already pre-ordered the cake early that week. This was bound to be one birthday bash that the little girl would never forget. Clauso arrived precisely on the hour, driving up to the Weast Chambers residence just as the clock struck 1. He parked his van on the couple's lawn, neither minding nor caring if he had partially mowed his client's lawn in the stupidest way possible. Already in full clown regalia, Clouseau nearly tumbled out of his van. Dragging a trunk full of tricks, props, and gags with one hand, and holding a balloon bouquet in the other, Clouseau was ready to go to work. Slowly, he made his way to the back gate. Michael spotted a beautiful bouquet of balloons, one for every color of the rainbow, moving toward his back gate door. After opening the gate, Michael kindly offered to help Clouseau with moving the trunk or holding the balloons. Clouseau graciously thanked him, but insisted in the negative. While unable to admit it aloud, Clouseau was one proud clown. He kept his profits tidy and business flowing by not having hired an assistant, and he passed some of that pride on to his clients. Setting his trunk down, Clouseau broke the ice by calling all the children over. "Come, children, come meet Clouseau, the clown extraordinaire," he beckoned. He asked for the birthday girl to come up. Marcy came forward, happy, but also nervous. Not that she was terrified by clowns, but she did think of them as weird-looking. Marcy stood nervously as an audience comprised of her classmates watched. She was skinny and tall for her age. Scrapes for falling on her bike one too many times ran up her right arm. Her blonde hair swayed in the wind. A purple bow sat neatly fastened on top. Marcy's friends in attendance, all girls, were smiling and giggling. The birthday girl could not imagine what was so funny, but she sure wished she knew. Clouseau pulled up a chair right next to Marcy and sat. She was a little bit taller than the birthday clown when he sat down. Clouseau patted Marcy on the shoulders. His touch was a little bit more annoying and surprising than painful. "Ladies, let's all give a warm happy birthday greeting to Marcy, the birthday girl!" As her classmates exclaimed their birthday wishes to Marcy, Clouseau, ever so slightly, moved his hand from the girl's shoulder and began gently rubbing her back. Having juggled bowling pins on numerous occasions throughout the years, Clouseau developed a technique. He could think about the other things while still performing one hell of an act. Doing the same shtick 900 times, or so it felt like, would have driven him insane. During this particular juggling performance, Clouseau thought of how easy it was to get 50% of his fee up front. Michael sent the check with Monday's outgoing mail. It arrived at Clouseau's modest-at-best apartment on Tuesday, and he deposited Wednesday, withdrawing the cash that morning. It sat in his wallet, all 20s. $200 for doing nothing. Well, not entirely. He still had to deliver until possibly as late as 4 o'clock. Kids were an odd bunch, according to Clouseau. They either got hopped up on sugar and never wanted to leave, or get hopped up on sugar, got tummy aches, and had to leave the party prematurely. The latter was especially nice en masse. This allowed him to end the gig early and keep all the money. Not that that was what was concerning him. Finding the right kid was his concern. There was almost always a child who could be singled out at parties like these. One who was shyer or less likely to speak out than the rest. For double the protection, Clauser had been changing his alias and his appearance every 2 or 3 parties. Clauser was hardly his first name, and certainly not his only one. Zuzu, Jolly, Painto, and Ringo, just to name a few. The man now known as Clauser was a terrific makeup artist. Never would he use the exact same shade of colour twice for face paint. There was also a regular rotation of wigs in assorted colours. His clown suits ran a wide gamut of hues and styles, and at times were either baggy or form-fitting. Most of his clown shoes were big, but occasionally there was a small-sized pair thrown into the bunch. Only his classic red nose remained constant, and, unsurprisingly, he could make it honk, leaving one aesthetic of a clown costume the same as all the others was not going to make or break anything. At least that was what Clauser believed. How he made his next few movements would. Marcy was sitting with 2 of her friends. She had a hot dog and some chips, and they each had a burger. They were chatting amongst themselves when Clauser called out to her. Marcy began to shiver, not liking it when he rubbed her back. But she thought that it might have been her imagination, and that maybe he did not mean to be weird. She then excused herself from the conversation and walked over toward the birthday clown. Clauser saw her and double-checked, making sure that her parents were not paying attention. They, in fact, were not around at all. Most likely they were inside the house, undoubtedly conversing with other adults. "Sorry for dragging you into this," one of them might have said, "but do enjoy the free foods and time away from your kids, even if it is only by 60 feet. This was good news for the multi-alias birthday clown. Marcy came up to him, peering up. She tried to smile. Feeling how difficult it was to do so, Clauser smiled easily in much the opposite manner. Things such as these made him genuinely smile. Marcy looked at him, a bit scared, waiting for him to speak. "Well, dear, I hope you're having a wonderful time. Not every day that a young lady turns 10. That's a very special birthday indeed," Clauser said, cheerfully reciting information that Michael had given him in advance about his daughter's big day. "Thanks, I guess," Marcy mumbled, her teeth pressing against her lower lip. "Such a special birthday that I have something for you. Just for you. But I need you to come to my van and help pick one out." "What is it?" "Oh, I cannot say. Such a surprise can only come along once in a lifetime. I can't spoil something that's only once in a lifetime. But I can tell you that there are different colors to choose from." "Do you have purple? I like purple." "Oh, definitely," Clauser lied. He would have said Washington was a color if it had gotten a kid into his van. "Okay, let's go," Marcy said, holding out her hand, seemingly surprisingly enthused. You go ahead, and I'll catch up. I would just slow you down," Clauser insisted, not lying, but also not wanting parents to see a 45-year-old holding hands with a 10-year-old girl who was not his daughter. Marcy skipped away. She opened the back gate door, shut it, and then skipped a short distance to where their van was parked on the family's lawn. Clauser trailed behind. Not too fast, because he was getting older, but not too slow so that anyone would notice. He had planned it all out. get her in the van, drive off, do the deed, and then ditch her. Murder was not something that this clown did. Clouseau caught up to Marcy, who had been standing in front of the van doors for almost a minute. She had her hands behind her back, swaying from side to side. There was some semblance of a smile on her face, almost as though she had been eagerly awaiting this moment. Clouseau did not notice, simply asking her to step aside so that he could open the van. Marcy did, and Clouseau swung open the doors. There was nothing there. Nothing purple or any colour. Clouseau grinned as he took Marcy by the back of her head and her shoulder, trying to throw her into the van. Marcy caught the creepy clown by surprise, lifting him up by his arm and tossing him into the back of the van. This disoriented Clouseau, who was trying to piece together what exactly had happened. Marcy chuckled, stepping into the van and closing the doors gently. They were left ajar. She had never intended to close them at all. Having no time for games, the birthday girl picked Clouseau up. Whether he was still disoriented or not had no bearing on what Marcy was about to do. Clouseau's eyes bulged, and he could barely breathe. Marcy's teeth lengthened, tapering into yellow fangs. Her flesh, normally pale white, became scaly and green, like that of a snake. Her eyes stretched out, blackening as well as flattening. Clouseau was praying for a heart attack, and they'd be spared some possibly crueler fates than this. He was dead wrong.
Yummy,
Marcy commented, wiping a tiny spot of blood away from her cheek. She felt oddly satisfied, like no other time in her life before that day. Yet still, she felt like she had plenty of room for dessert. That made her happy. Her parents bought vanilla ice cream cake. And there would be presents. Marcy was hoping to get gift certificates and books above anything else. Skipping up the lawn, she opened the back gate and then closed it again. Marcy saw her father and continued to skip until she met up with him. Michael was relieved to see his daughter. He was likewise happy that he could tell his wife, who was searching around the house, that their daughter was safe. "Marcy, dear, we were worried sick. Where were you?" Michael asked, concerned.
"Oh, I was with Mr. Clouseau. He had something to show me. But I had something to show him. And now I have something to show you too, Daddy,"
Marcy admitted truthfully. Michael stood, watching as his daughter began hacking. Her hacking grew louder and louder until, finally, something fell out of Marcy's mouth. Something slimy, sticky, and balled up. She held it in her palm for her father to accept. Michael took it, winced, and shook it out a little. But then he was, at last, content and actually proud of his daughter for doing what she did. "Never trust a man who needs money up front so badly," Michael quipped, shoving the soggy cash into his pocket. Pondering on the matter, he added, "Especially a clown."